Some games aren't just good, they're so masterfully crafted, so unforgettable, it feels like every detail was designed with surgical precision. Whether it's the chilling story, the tight and satisfying combat, or the worlds that never leave your mind, these are the kinds of games that define generations. They end and leave a void because you know you've lived something rare. Each one here was hand-picked, not by score, but by real impact. Games that deserve to be played at least once in a lifetime. The hard part is playing them only once. I'm Jax, and if you're new around here, welcome to Play Hunters. If you feel like subscribing to help the channel grow, I'd really appreciate it from one gamer to another. And before we get started, tell me what was the last perfect game you played, one you'd truly call a 10/10. Drop it in the comments, I want to know which game really hit you. Let's get started. Ghost of Tsushima opens with a brutal invasion of an island during one of Japan's most tense historical periods. In the midst of chaos, a warrior must decide how far he's willing to go to protect his homeland, even if it means breaking ancient traditions. The story dives into internal struggles with the same force it shows external wars. Every burned village, every ravaged field builds a sense of urgency and pain. The journey becomes personal, where honor and survival are always clashing. The writing doesn't just hit emotionally, it makes you think about loss, duty, and identity. Gameplay is fast, precise, and lets you choose how to act in every fight. Whether you charge head-on or strike from the shadows, every move carries emotional weight. Combat feels cinematic, with animations that make each strike look real. The map is alive, full of trails, forests, and fortresses begging to be explored. The game never holds your hand, but it guides you with the wind, literally. Its upgrade system ensures every choice you make shapes the journey. Everything flows in a way that pulls you in from start to finish. Even in its quietest moments, the visual direction stuns. Fields of flowers swaying in the wind, golden trees, and snow drifting gently help shape one of the most beautiful worlds ever made. It's not just pretty, it breathes, shifts over time, and reacts to the story. The way the weather mirrors the narrative makes everything more symbolic. And even with so many elements, nothing feels out of place. Every environment feels hand-painted with intention. By the end, it feels like you've lived an ancient legend told through a modern epic. Everything is so carefully done that you'll want to revisit every corner even after it's over. It's a game that respects your time and your mind. And maybe most importantly, it's a game that knows when to let silence speak. Death Stranding 2 still carries the weight of a broken world, torn apart by lost connections, but now it moves toward a future determined to rebuild. Humanity's scars remain open, and the story focuses on the aftermath of a collapsed system. Isolation is still central, but now the fear lies not in the unknown, but in what's left to be done. New conflicts emerge, deeper, more human. The question shifts from how to survive to is it worth going on? The gameplay structure evolves, expanding on all the ideas from the first game. Long treks and natural obstacles are still there, but now with new traversal tools, unexpected allies, and more varied interactions. The pace remains reflective, but never drags. There's always a goal in sight, and the challenges go beyond the physical. They're emotional. Every choice carries practical consequences, and the world reacts to each step. The tension stays, but it's layered with new urgency. Visually, the game feels bolder than ever. Landscapes blend ruin and hope in every shot. There's less rain, but the sky still looms heavy. The art direction flirts with surrealism, crafting dreamlike moments. It's not about showing pretty places, it's about using the world to tell the story. Every cave, every bridge, every ruin means something, and even the silence between missions speaks volumes. In the end, it's not just about reconnecting cities, it's about reconnecting people and ideas. The game raises tough questions and offers no easy answers. It makes you feel the weight of the journey and understand that sometimes moving forward is the only choice. It's not a game trying to please everyone, but when it clicks with you, the impact is deep. A Plague Tale Requiem brings us back to a world suffocated by fear, not just of plague or rats, but of fate itself. The story grows bolder, questioning every decision and showing the cost of choices made out of love or desperation. The escape becomes a darker search for answers, while innocence fades, the bonds between characters deepen, often painfully. There's always a threat nearby, but sometimes the real danger lies within those trying to protect. Gameplay switches between stealth and rising tension. It doesn't turn you into an action hero, it asks for patience, silence, precision. Running isn't cowardice. Solving a scene with a single stone or a perfect distraction feels just as rewarding as sneaking through an entire area. There are new tools, refined mechanics, and a level of detail that brings everything to life. Each new section tests your mind, even as the world falls apart around you. The visuals are jaw-dropping, blending natural beauty with utter decay. Villages, fields, and ruins are crafted with absurd care. Light subtly shifts the mood, and the rat hordes are still terrifying visually and narratively. The contrast between breathtaking scenery and horror-filled moments gives every scene its punch. It's like beauty exists to remind you what's still at stake. This game isn't afraid to go deep with heavy themes, guilt, sacrifice, fear of loss. It all hits hard, raw, and unfiltered. And when the story reaches its peak, you won't walk away the same. It's not just about surviving, it's about accepting what you did to protect the ones you love. Disco Elysium starts with nothing. Literally, you wake up not knowing who you are, where you are, or what you're doing. Slowly, things return, but not like puzzle pieces, more like fragments of an existential crisis. The game dives deep into the mind of someone broken, trying to make sense of the world while the world fights to survive its own traumas. There's no right path, just hard questions. The story is bold, heavy, and often uncomfortable in the best way. It's all about choices and dialogue, but not the usual kind. These are sarcastic, philosophical, contradictory. Every choice can change the investigation or make it worse. Your skill tree doesn't just affect combat, it shapes your thoughts, literally. Your ideas argue with each other, altering how you see the world. That's what makes each playthrough unique. This game doesn't want you to win, it wants you to understand yourself. The world is dirty, broken, and full of half-erased memories. Rivachol feels like a city on its last breath, where everyone's lost something and no one believes in anything anymore. The art looks like old paintings with smudged lines and colors that scream sadness. It's not pretty, but it's fascinating. The setting tells as much as the characters, with stories hidden in streets, objects, even abandoned clothes. The real question isn't who did it, it's who did you become while looking for answers. This game changes you, even if you don't realize it, and maybe that's why it sticks, because it doesn't give happy endings or certainty, just unsettling truths and thoughts that echo for days. Outer Wilds starts small, by a campfire in a simple forest, but soon becomes one of gaming's greatest journeys. You're on a space mission to explore a strange solar system, full of planets hiding jaw-dropping secrets. But there's a catch. Everything happens in a 22-minute loop that resets when the universe ends. Each new run brings changes, but the biggest change is in you. Time is your enemy, your ally, and your teacher. Gameplay leans on real physics, open exploration, and constant learning. No upgrades, no combat, no mission list. It's all about discovery, observing, and understanding. Every planet has its own rules, dangers, and clues, all connected like a massive puzzle. The game never tells you what to do, it trusts your curiosity. And that's the key, going wherever your gut tells you to. The art style might seem simple, but it's incredibly effective. Each planet has a distinct identity, ranging from breathtaking to claustrophobic. Music kicks in at just the right moments, not to stir emotion, but to remind you time's almost up. The sky changes, the sun collapses, and you start again. Not as punishment, but because you always have something new to uncover. Few games treat the end of the world with such tenderness. Each loop feels like saying to the universe, I haven't given up yet. And that feeling hits deep. Uncovering cosmic mysteries is satisfying, but understanding what it means to be alive in an endlessly repeating cycle, that's something only this game offers. Mass Effect begins with humanity still new to the galactic stage, trying to earn its place among much older and more powerful species. But everything changes when an ancient threat returns, endangering the entire known universe. The narrative evolves with moral choices, political tension, and sacrifices that shape every step. Nothing is black and white. Themes range from diplomacy to existential dread, always putting weight on your actions. Over time, the story shifts from saving the world to understanding your place within it. Gameplay blends tactical shooting with planet exploration, branching dialogues, and skill customization. Every conversation can change the fate of entire civilizations. Combat grew more fluid and strategic over time without losing the narrative punch. The UI may feel a bit dated at times, but the depth of your choices makes up for it. You build your crew, forge alliances, and impact events across the galaxy. Every decision matters. The visuals go beyond generic sci-fi, bringing planets with distinct personalities. Space stations, frozen deserts, forgotten ruins, all make the galaxy feel alive. Aliens don't feel like extras, but full cultures with rules, beliefs, and scars. Even in older versions, the visuals impress with scale and atmosphere. The soundtrack, with its electronic and melancholic tones, sets the stage for an epic emotional journey. Mass Effect is the kind of game that makes you feel responsible for something bigger. You don't just play, you build relationships, face dilemmas, and decide the fate of entire civilizations. It's a trilogy that sticks with you long after the credits roll, not because of what happened, but because of everything you made happen. The Last of Us takes place in a shattered world where surviving means letting go of any innocence, but more than just an apocalypse story, it's a journey about human reconnection amid collapse. Every scene carries weight, with silences as powerful as words. The world is ashes, yet love, fear, guilt, and hope remain. With every new encounter, the same question returns: what matters more, staying alive or staying human? Gameplay leans on limited resources, stealth, and brutal combat. Every fight can be deadly, every bullet counts. The crafting system demands quick thinking and improvisation. The pacing is tense, with quiet moments that force you to breathe before the next disaster. You're constantly on edge, yet the game allows space to reflect. Nothing is random, everything has a reason to be happening. Environments show nature reclaiming what's left of civilization. Fireflies in tunnels, forests overtaking ruins, storms battering broken bridges. Everything tells a story. Every corner shows signs of those who lived and resisted. The animation realism, the way characters move, react, and breathe, creates a closeness few games achieve. It's not just beautiful, it's raw, painfully real. This is a game unafraid to be uncomfortable. It forces you to understand both sides of a story where no one is completely right or wrong. It doesn't aim to entertain all the time, it aims to be honest. And that honesty is what makes it one of the greatest ever. Uncharted 4 begins when the days of adventure seem to be over. But one piece of news is enough to reignite the urge to chase something bigger, even at great cost. The game blends archaeological mystery, family conflict, and the fallout of youthful choices. It's no longer about treasure hunting, it's about discovering what's truly worth it. The journey becomes deeply personal, with moments that hit harder than any explosion. The gameplay has evolved in every way. Gunfights are smoother, with dynamic cover and better mobility. Movement now includes ropes, freer climbing, and zip lines that turn every area into a playground. But all of it serves the story, never the other way around. The variety of environments stuns, from lavish mansions to hidden caves, always with seamless transitions. It feels like playing a non-stop adventure film. The game is a visual treat, not just for the technical polish, but the composition of every frame. Vibrant colors, sunlight through leaves, reflections in muddy puddles, everything feels crafted to be memorable. The faces are shockingly expressive, with eyes that genuinely convey emotion. Detail goes from the creak of wood to dust clouds rising in fights. It's a masterclass in art direction. What sticks with you most is the emotional weight behind each choice. It's not a game about winning or losing, it's about understanding what truly matters. When the journey ends, you realize it wasn't about buried treasures, but about what you might lose if you're not paying attention. A Way Out starts with two strangers sharing a cell, but quickly turns into a story about trust, redemption, and tough choices. The entire game is built around co-op, which makes every decision feel heavier. From the first escape plan to the most personal moments, everything depends on teamwork. And the twist, you get to know the other character, not through scripted lines, but through the actions they take beside you. The story grows with each obstacle you face together. Gameplay is straightforward, but packed with variety. Prison breaks, car chases, river escapes, fistfights, even mini-games, all done as a duo. One distracts, the other advances. One investigates, the other hides. This creates a strong connection between players, who start caring not just about their characters, but about each other. It works because it understands that cooperation is more than just sharing controls. The visuals use varied settings and keep the pacing tight. No room for boredom, the game never sticks to one mechanic for too long. Tense moments, frantic pursuits, quiet conversations, it's all there, tied together with creative split-screen shots that maintain immersion. Every location feels designed to keep the pair moving and communicating. The ending is one of the most powerful in recent years, not for being grand, but for what it represents after everything. The game delivers something rare, a finale that makes you reflect on your actions, your bond, and what's been left behind. It's impossible not to feel it. Metro Exodus begins with the idea that maybe there's something out there beyond darkness, radiation, and war. The game moves away from the old underground tunnels, opening up a devastated Russia full of signs that life could still go on. The journey is split by seasons, each new environment bringing unique dangers, stories, and conflicts. Hope, once buried under concrete and fear, becomes the fuel for this journey, but it comes at a high price. Gameplay evolved significantly from previous entries. There's now wide exploration, open areas with true freedom of approach, and a stronger focus on survival. Resources remain scarce, and every encounter can be lethal. But you decide how to proceed with stealth or gunfire. Crafting became more important, the weapon system is deeper, and the moral weight of your actions is clear. Not every victory is clean. The visuals are stunning. From frozen swamps to radioactive deserts, each area has its own identity. The day-night cycle completely changes how you play. Lighting effects and particle details add constant threat, and your gas mask, now requiring upkeep, reinforces your fragility. Every inch of the map feels handcrafted to both scare and amaze. Amid all this, there's room for quiet music playing inside the train, a campfire in an abandoned field, a simple conversation breaking the mission's weight. Metro Exodus understands that hope lives in small things, and even in a broken world, there's always something worth protecting. Detroit Become Human starts with a simple question: how far can a machine go before becoming something more? But the answer is far from simple. The game builds a future where androids are part of society but still treated as tools. The story follows intertwining narratives, showing how the smallest actions can spark a revolution. Nothing is fixed, every choice changes everything, and the game never lets you forget it. Gameplay revolves around quick decisions and fast actions, but don't be fooled, every choice carries huge consequences. Paths branch wildly, with dozens of endings and hundreds of variations in between. That makes every conversation feel important, every glance charged with tension. Just when you think you're in control, the game hits you with harder decisions. It wants you to feel the weight of what you do. The visuals verge on photorealism. Futuristic cities gleam with neon and tech, but there are also poor, forgotten places where light never reaches. The contrast is striking and intentional. Character expressions are incredible. Faces show pain, doubt, anger without a word. The soundtrack gives each storyline its own feel, building tension right when it matters most. Detroit is about freedom, not in an abstract sense, but the freedom to think, to fail, to resist, to choose. It puts you in front of a mirror, asking tough questions, and no matter which path you take, the journey's impact sticks with you. God of War opens with a silent walk through a snowy forest. No grand speeches, no immediate fights, just grief. The story revolves around a promise, an intimate journey that slowly grows into something far bigger. The past never stays buried, and old decisions come back strong. It's about fatherhood, rage, legacy, told in a script that whispers but says everything. Every scene has weight, none of it is filler. The gameplay ditches the fixed camera for something closer and more visceral. The axe feels like a true extension of your body, every swing heavy and real. Fights are intense, demanding strategy, timing, and spatial awareness. Enemy variety is wide, and so are the ways to deal with them. Deep progression systems offer plenty to explore. Puzzles blend naturally with the world and exploration pacing. Nothing breaks immersion, everything flows. Even in wild fights, you always feel in control. The world is breathtaking. Snowy mountains, dense forests, ice-carved caves, forgotten temples. Every place looks like a painting. But beneath the beauty, there's always a hint of sadness. Each realm holds its own stories, inner conflicts, and a past full of pain. The attention to detail is incredible, from the axe's return sound to the ruined wall textures. It all feels epic, yet grounded, like the world is just waiting for you to stir it. When the journey ends, it's not just about conquering tough battles. It's about growth, change, and forgiveness. It's a game about monsters, yes, but more than that, it's about humanity. And maybe that's why it's become so unforgettable. Elden Ring begins slowly, without explanation, with a vast open world and a vague mission on the horizon. There's no icon-filled map or voice telling you where to go. The premise is simple: discover, fight, survive. The story is fragmented, scattered across text, symbols, ruins, and strange encounters. Nothing is spoon-fed, everything demands attention, curiosity, and a bit of stubbornness. It's a world that only reveals itself to those who keep asking and are willing to pay the price. The gameplay is demanding but rewarding. Combat has weight, rhythm, and an absurd variety of styles. You can be agile, brutal, mystical, or all at once. Areas have no set order, you choose where to go, and the world responds. Each new place brings real threats and even bigger surprises. The difficulty isn't in stats, but in learning patterns, reading enemies, and mastering your own flaws. Victory never comes easy, and that's what makes it worth it. The world is a work of art. Floating castles, poisonous swamps, endless deserts, forgotten towers, everything feels crafted to tell a story without words. Verticality and secrets hidden in every corner make exploration addictive. Even after dozens of hours, something new still waits for you. Not by accident, but because everything was placed with intention, waiting for someone worthy to find it. It's a game about freedom, not comfort. The freedom to fail, to explore without guarantees, to forge your own path. And when you finally look back, you realize what you gained wasn't just power, it was understanding. Few games respect your intelligence and courage like this one. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild opens with silence, nature, and a world watching you, waiting for that first step. Freedom isn't a reward, it's the starting point. From the very beginning, you're on your own, setting your pace, your path, your way of facing challenges. There's a main goal, sure, but everything around you invites detours. It feels like a land that wants to be discovered, not conquered. Gameplay blends action, physics, and experimentation. There are no fixed answers, most solutions work, and almost all are valid. Climbing, burning, freezing, exploding, the world's logic adapts to your ideas. Weapons break, forcing improvisation. Enemies aren't just obstacles, they're part of the ecosystem. The mechanics feel so natural that you forget you're playing a game. It feels like living. The map is huge, but it's not cluttered with markers. Instead, it offers mountains, forests, villages, and ruins that spark genuine curiosity. The art direction uses soft colors, natural lighting, and charming minimalism. Weather effects directly impact gameplay, creating unpredictable moments. Each region has its own identity, with stories told through visuals, not text. Sometimes, just stopping to admire the horizon makes everything worthwhile. It's not about defeating a villain or completing a quest. It's about rediscovering the world around you and yourself. The simplicity is a front. Behind it lies a complex, poetic, unforgettable game, a landmark that redefined what it means to explore. Bloodborne doesn't ask for permission. It throws you into a gothic city overrun by unspeakable horrors. There's no gentle intro, no obvious tutorial. The story is fragmented, dirty, drenched in blood and madness. You wake up in a nightmare and slowly realize the world may have always been this way. Fear doesn't come from jump scares, but from the suffocating atmosphere. Each new area reveals secrets that reshape what little you thought you knew. Truth here is obscure and terrifyingly fascinating. The gameplay demands aggression, reflexes, and composure. No shields to hide behind. Combat rewards precise strikes and quick punishment. Dodging is your best friend, and every enemy is a real threat. Weapons shift form, combos have rhythm, and the challenge never relents. Progress comes through merit, persistence, and overcoming yourself. Each defeated boss gives more than points, it grants the right to keep going. The visual design is a macabre spectacle. Architecture blends cathedrals, cemeteries, libraries, and abysses, all soaked in shadow and fog. Creatures seem pulled from forbidden books, distorted, grotesque, unforgettable. There's constant discomfort, but also beauty. There's something hypnotic in walking these cursed streets. Every area tells a story that must be pieced together or else consume you whole. This game doesn't explain, doesn't ease the way, but rewards like few others. When the pieces click, when madness starts making sense, everything changes. Fear turns to respect, and what once felt like a nightmare reveals one of the most powerful narratives ever crafted. Hollow Knight begins with a fall, one that leads into a vast world buried beneath the ruins of a forgotten civilization. Silence dominates, broken only by footsteps and the sounds of lingering creatures. The story unfolds not through dialogue, but through fragments carved into walls, ruins, and mysterious figures. It's a lonely journey, but never empty. Each new area raises questions, and rarely gives clear answers. It's a game that demands attention and patience to understand. Gameplay is tight and skill-based. Combat is fast, technical, and varied, with tough bosses and enemies that never let you zone out. Movement is fluid, and new abilities unlock paths that once seemed unreachable. Discovering a hidden shortcut or defeating a tough enemy is deeply rewarding. There are no map markers, no lengthy tutorials. You learn by playing, failing, trying again. That's what makes each victory meaningful. The underground world is masterfully built. Each biome has a unique style, with distinct colors, sounds, and threats. From glowing forests to flooded cities, the variety stuns. The hand-drawn art brings every corner to life, even in decay. There's beauty in the abandonment, poetry in the ruin. It's a sad, enchanting world, crafted with care down to the tiniest detail. Few games do so much with so little. Hollow Knight doesn't guide you, it trusts you. It doesn't hand you answers, but rewards your curiosity. And when you finally grasp what this world holds, it's hard not to be moved by what you found. Baldur's Gate 3 begins with a parasite in your mind and an imminent threat hanging over everything. But what truly stands out is how much control you're given. The game lets you shape your own story, not as a spectator, but as someone who alters the world. Every conversation, battle, and choice can ripple into massive consequences. The narrative unfolds organically with countless paths and twists that feel natural, not scripted. Gameplay blends turn-based combat with exploration, dialogue, and decision-making, but nothing feels rigid. Fights are tactical, filled with creative options. You can win with magic, brute force, traps, or words. Outside of combat, interacting with the world is just as important. Sneaking into rooms, persuading foes, tricking creatures, it all depends on how you use your skills. The game treats you like someone smart. The world is vast and full of places to discover. Enchanted forests, corrupted cities, ancient ruins, everything feels alive. The art is rich, full of silent storytelling. The sky shifts with time, environments react to your actions, and characters have their own routines. It's not a world designed to feel real, it just is. And that's why you can lose hours in it without noticing. What's most impressive is how much the game respects your decisions. There's no right way to play. What matters is what you choose to do with what you've got. And that freedom is what makes Baldur's Gate 3 so epic. It doesn't tell you a story, it invites you to write your own. Hades starts with an escape attempt and becomes an obsession. Every failed run returns you to the start, but you're never quite the same. The game makes repetition part of the story, turning persistence into narrative. Dialogues change, characters react to your actions, and failure is treated as part of the process. There's no rush to win. What matters is what you learn about yourself and others amid the chaos. Gameplay is fast, precise, and incredibly addictive. You pick weapons, powers, and abilities that change with every run, creating unique combos. Combat is smooth, punchy, and demands quick reflexes. But unlike most roguelikes, every death adds layers to the story. The pacing is spot-on fast when needed, calm when it counts. Nothing is wasted. Everything becomes progress. The art is bold and distinctive. Vibrant colors, detailed environments, and strong character designs create a look you'll never forget. Stages evolve as you go, from burning halls to dark swamps and icy chambers. Even in repetition, nothing feels the same. The game insists on surprising you every run, and the soundtrack, subtle but sharp, adds tension exactly when needed. This is more than a roguelike, it's a game about persistence, about failing, trying again, and understanding that every step matters. Hades delivers combat, challenge, and story in near-perfect balance. One of those rare games where the more you play, the more you want to keep playing. Expedition 33 begins in a world cursed by a cruel cycle, where each year a new expedition sets out knowing it'll be wiped out. The story centers on breaking that fate, facing monstrous creatures and unexplainable forces. The tone is melancholic, yet filled with hope. Everything revolves around one question: what if this time is different? The past weighs heavily, but the game never gives up on the idea that resistance is still possible. Gameplay blends intense action with tactical elements. Combat is fast, stylish, and demands mastery of enemy patterns. You can fight with magic, brute force, or special abilities. Battles are constant tests of awareness. The evolution system lets you shape unique fighting styles, and every journey decision can shift your destiny. Nothing is easy, but everything can be earned. The visuals are daring, the art style mixes realism and surrealism, distorted landscapes, towering enemies, and scenes that look like elegant nightmares. The world feels like it's falling apart in front of you, yet in the middle of the chaos, there are moments of beauty, quiet fields, empty cities, glimpses of what once was. Every detail strengthens the atmosphere of urgency and sacrifice. This is a love letter to those who don't give up. Every attempt to escape the cycle is an act of bravery. Every battle carries the weight of past losses and the strength of those who still believe. Rarely does a game treat failure with such dignity. Celeste begins with a simple goal: climb a mountain, but it soon becomes clear this mountain is much more. It's a mirror of everything haunting you inside. The story is light in tone, but dives deep into themes like anxiety, self-doubt, and growth. Every obstacle is an inner struggle, and success isn't just reaching the top, but every small step won through real effort. Gameplay is challenging and precise. Calculated jumps, aerial dashes, momentum control, it all matters. But the game never punishes harshly. Deaths are followed by instant restarts, pushing you to keep trying. There's no shame in failing. On the contrary, failing is learning. And when you finally conquer a tough section, the relief and pride are real. The level design is flawless, always introducing new challenges without becoming frustrating. Visually, it's retro pixel graphics packed with depth. Colors shift with the story's mood. Environments range from dark caves to snowy forests and quiet ruins. Despite its simplicity, every screen is crafted to guide, challenge, and move you, and the characters you meet add humanity. Even in the hardest moments, there's space for empathy. Celeste isn't about climbing a mountain, it's about believing that even scared, even broken, you can keep going, and few games turn something so simple into something so powerful. Dead Space Remake revives a sci-fi horror classic and gives it everything it always deserved. The story still begins with a rescue mission on a derelict ship, but now it's deeper, more detailed, and more terrifying. Isolation, dread, and tension are reborn through refined storytelling and subtle surprises. The mystery builds with every door. The silence says more than any dialogue. The horror is psychological, physical, and relentless. Gameplay has been refined, keeping the focus on strategic combat and dismemberment. Each enemy demands a different approach, and ammo scarcity forces careful thinking. The upgrade system is overhauled, offering deeper customization. Controls are tighter, movement smoother, and weapons more impactful. Even veterans of the original will find surprises in every corridor. Fear is constant. The new visuals are a massive leap. Flickering lights, thick smoke, blood-splattered walls, all build a choking atmosphere. Dynamic lighting casts unsettling shadows, making every dark corner dangerous. Creaking metal, approaching monsters, your own breathing, the sound design amplifies terror. Nowhere feels safe. Even the quiet areas drip with tension. You feel vulnerable, even armed to the teeth. This is more than a remake. It honors the original, but dares to become more immersive, more terrifying, more complete. The result is top-tier horror with its own identity, ready to haunt a new generation and remind the old why this game was never forgotten. Resident Evil 4 Remake begins with a rescue mission and ends with you reliving a classic with brand new eyes. The essence is intact, but everything has been modernized smartly. The story flows more naturally, with better dialogue and more gripping atmosphere. Tension never leaves. Enemies always feel one step ahead. Decisions carry weight and battles hit harder. The horror leans psychological, without losing its action roots. Gameplay is smooth and modern, while honoring the past. Combat now includes dodges, parries, and free movement. Every weapon has its use, and fights are intense and varied. Enemy AI is more aggressive, making encounters unpredictable. There's room for stealth, improvisation, and precision. And the game doesn't skimp on content. There's plenty to explore, unlock, and do. The pacing never gets tiring. The visuals are stunning. Damp darkness, decaying villages, ominous castles, all rebuilt with incredible care. The mood is oppressive, with light and shadow weaving a constant sense of danger. The sound adds to the terror. Whispers, footsteps, distant noises make you constantly look over your shoulder. Nothing is random. The remake builds a feeling of urgency that never fades. It proves a classic can be reborn without losing its soul. This isn't a replacement, it's a complement. And it's so well crafted that by the end, you might wonder which version is more unforgettable. One thing's for sure, this new take has already become legendary. If any of these games left a mark on you, or if there's one we missed, drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next videos. Around here, we only talk about the real good stuff, and if you want more top-tier picks, check out our video on the best games to play in 2025. It's wild and packed with top-notch action. Big hug, happy gaming, and see you tomorrow!